Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey, and this is Our View from the Bench. Welcome back, bench warmers. It's time for World Series baseball. Well, the College World Series, anyway.
The road to Omaha has been paved, and we are down to the final 8 teams. Now, we are going to give our predictions for this summer classic. I'm Brendan, field team member at the Chuck.
I'm Corey, friend of Tuffy the Titan, and this is Our View from the Bench.
Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see or hear, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it! Come on, smash it for us. It's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. It helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think. World Series baseball, my friend. College World Series baseball, but World Series baseball nonetheless. It's kind of a fond spot for me, and I'm assuming you as well, because it's something that we've been a part of, not necessarily as players, of course. We aren't. Yeah. Again, this show is called Our View from the Bench, not Our View from the Field.
You read my
mind. But we've been to this College World Series, have we not?
Yeah, man. I can't believe it's been 7 years already. That's crazy since we were there.
It's been a minute. So we went to the 2017 College World Series. So what was that? Actually, yeah, 7 years. So you can see right here. Got the shirt on today. College World Series. It's a great time. Here's the teams that were in it. Pause if you want to look. But we went basically because we happened to be going and hitting baseball stadiums. Corey has hit what now? How many? 25?
25 of 30. Well, 31 if you include Vegas because it's being built or going to happen. At some point, Oakland's going to move somewhere and going to have another stadium. So 25 of 31 of the active baseball stadiums in MLB.
And 2 of those we hit were in Missouri, being St. Louis and Kansas City, and the Cardinals and the Royals, respectively. And while we were there, it just so happened that Corey's alma mater, Cal State Fullerton, was playing in the College World Series that year. And what was it, like a 2.5, maybe 3-hour drive north from where we were to Omaha?
I think so. I think we spent like 2 hours driving through Iowa to get to Omaha, Nebraska in the first place. It was a lot of nothing on the road. I do remember that. Me, you, and Rocky just driving and chilling with
just driving. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And Omaha, the popping city that it was extremely welcoming. It was really busy with like probably 10,000 people total. It was so lit in the middle of nowhere, but it was honestly a really, really good time. The stadium was pretty nice and kind of fun to be at. The baseball was good. We won't talk too much about what Cal State Fullerton did that year, but but it was fun nonetheless. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It was a lot of fun. I mean, the environment itself is just all. I mean, it's it's college, so it's school spirit. There's a student section or like a family section for each school, and everyone's rocking your attire. I think I had my Fullerton hat when we were there. Obviously, you were able to buy a shirt that kind of showcases the entire 8 teams that made it to Omaha. So yeah, it was just a lot of fun. I honestly never expected to go to one. We didn't even plan that before we left for the trip. We just were in Missouri and like, hey, the World Series starts on Saturday and we're only like 2.5 hours away. We ain't doing anything on Saturday. Why don't we drive up and check out a game in Omaha? Because why else are we going to go to Nebraska? So
yeah, we're never going to have to go to Nebraska ever again. So we might as well take the opportunity now. I'm not a Cornhuskers fan. Don't think I'll ever become one.
Yep.
And unless an apocalypse happens, I probably won't see myself in Nebraska at any point. So
yeah. Plus, I'm also not only am I trying to get to all 30 stadiums, I'm trying to get to all 50 states, and I think I'm at 33 thanks to this part of the trip too. So just another one trying to knock off the list, basically as well.
Yeah, that's not bad. We went through I think 4 that whole trip. Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. I think were the 4 that we went through. That was when we went and actually saw we went to KU and we saw the original rules of basketball. Remember that? Written on a freaking piece of paper. That was crazy. It's just crazy to see right there. They were actually holding a practice at the time.
They were. Is it Allen Fieldhouse? Is that the name for some reason?
Yeah. Allen Fieldhouse.
One of the oldest basketball arenas in college, if not the entire nation, to be honest.
Yeah, it was really cool. So that was a really fun trip. And again, College World Series was a part of that. So got a fond place in Corey and mine hearts for sure. And we're excited for this one. Unfortunately, there is no representation from Corey's alma mater or really anybody on the western half of the United States because this is an all SEC, all ACC, 4 from each College World Series, man. What the heck? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes, especially if you're doing the top 25, I guess it could be anybody from any conference. I even noticed that not that Fullerton was very good this year, but I believe UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara were in the top 25. They just didn't make it past regionals or super regionals to get to the World Series. So the Big West was represented for a while, but yeah, like you said, now it's just ACC versus SEC the rest of the way.
I know Oregon was in there as well in one of the super regionals.
Oh,
They had a game when they were playing Texas A&M. That's who they were kind of going for, and it was actually a really close game. I know that the first game was, I believe, a pretty big blowout, but the second game was fairly close. Oregon was actually up, and they uh, kind of gave up a huge lead
did you see how they lost?
quickly. I didn't see the
Oh,
actual
it was
what
bad.
happened.
So there was
Yeah.
a guy on second for whoever beat Oregon. I don't even know who beat him at this point, but Oregon's pitcher threw a bad pitch and it got past the catcher. So the guy went to third, but the pitcher didn't run to cover home plate. He kind of walked very like, oh, kind of get there. And since he did, and the catcher had to go so far back behind the plate to get the ball, the guy who left second and went to third just kept running and went home and scored because nobody covered home plate.
Wow, bro.
That gave them the lead 3-2, and then that was the final score. So Oregon really not only lost, but they totally screwed themselves.
Yeah, yeah. So that didn't go well for them. So no western like half of the United States literally representation. Most of these are hugging. I mean, I think the furthest west is Texas,
Yep, I
Texas
believe
A&M.
you are
So
correct.
everybody else is literally hugging the Atlantic. So we got two brackets here. It's broken up into two different brackets. I'll break down the first bracket. You can break down the second one.
Let's do it.
We have the Tennessee Volunteers. They are the number one overall seed going into this competition. Heavy favorites going into this. Close second though, but they are definitely favorites going in. There is a close second, is what I'm saying. I'll get to the who it is in a moment. The North Carolina Tar Heels are in this bracket. The Florida State Seminoles and the Virginia Cavaliers. The first set is actually Friday. North Carolina plays Virginia, and Tennessee will start with Florida State. So
All right.
that's bracket one.
So bracket 2 will start on Saturday and this is a like first. I think it's double elimination in the first round. It's kind of a round robin thing with the brackets. So it's going over a couple days. We're not going to pick each round because who knows what can happen with one game and
Yeah.
it's too confusing. But the second bracket is going to be Kentucky Wildcats, which actually is making their first College World Series appearance in program history. So that's kind of cool for them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And they're going against NC State. And then you have Texas A&M going up against Florida, who I believe Florida is like the only team that
unranked
unranked in the whole of the last 8 available here. So
yeah, Virginia was barely ranked coming in. Obviously, they're 12th now. They're one of the lowest ones. But yeah, Florida unranked. They had just basically gone on a really hot run. They're also heavy underdogs in this one. They are the highest odds to win. I think there was plus 1,400. I saw it as low as plus 1,200, but up to plus 1,400 for the Gators. So not a lot of faith in Florida, but
no. You
yeah.
know what's crazy?
So Texas A&M plays them first.
Not only that Florida is the only one that's not ranked, and the other 7 are ranked in the top 16 of the entire nation. So these are some really, really good teams. Florida was in the final last year and lost to LSU, and now they're not even ranked in the top 25, but here they are back in the World Series.
Yeah, so maybe they know how to turn it on at the right time. Now, that LSU team was stacked, and you can see what Paul Skeens is already doing in Pittsburgh. He's lighting it up. He didn't really have. I mean, he just graduated. He just won the most recent one, and he just graduated. So he's lighting it up in Pittsburgh. So the fact that they lost to the LSU team is really no surprise, but that LSU team is not standing in the way this year. So I know Florida, like I said, was heavy underdogs, but perhaps coming back with some vengeance, maybe looking for to make up for that L that they, like you said, took in the finals.
Yeah, and not only that, if you look at it, because of the way the brackets are set, we have the option or possibility of it being Florida and Florida State in the final. Now, I don't know if that's what anybody's picking or expecting, but it is a possibility. Florida versus Florida State could be the College World Series final.
I don't. I mean, what? No, that'd be no to an all Florida one. How about that? That's my vote. It should definitely be an interesting World Series for sure. College World Series, obviously. Well, another interesting piece of this actually is the fact that it's only these two conferences, the ACC and the SEC in it. I believe you found an interesting stat. Again, real quick, there's actually a lot more parity most of the time in college baseball because, again, teams like even Fullerton, all the way on the West Coast, and a smaller school at that can make it to the College World Series. So it's not normally as SEC heavy as say college football would be, or ACC heavy, or as college basketball might be. So, so you found an interesting stat about it being only two conferences. What was that?
Yeah, so I once I saw that it was ACC, SEC, I wondered how many times this has happened. But like you mentioned, the parity in college baseball is way better than probably most college sports, especially football. But it's the first time since 1948 that it's gone down to just two
Oh,
conferences with the 8 teams here in Omaha. So yeah, it's been a while. It's not a normal thing.
damn, that is pretty crazy. That's 1948. You were how old were you? Yeah,
Yeah,
negative 40 years old, roughly.
my mom and dad weren't even alive yet. That's how far long ago that was.
Wow. Yeah. Same. Same. That's very true. Very true. All right. Well, let's start breaking down some of these games. We're gonna have we have a couple little bit of things about each game that we want to talk about. Quick prediction of who we think is gonna win. Not each game, but the whole thing, and then we'll move on to one more topic. The first game on Friday, North Carolina, Virginia, 1 o'clock. These are Eastern, I'm assuming,
I
or
believe so.
Pacific.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 Eastern. Should be pretty interesting. Virginia is coming in as the lowest seeded team, besides the, of course, unranked Florida Gators, going up against fourth seeded North Carolina. Um, I'm curious to see who you see coming out of this bracket. I guess you can say, um, and maybe some interesting things about this. I see uh, a couple things here. What you got?
Yeah, so for North Carolina Virginia matchup, like we mentioned before, North Carolina is the only one that's not in the top six, or is the only top 16 seed in this College World Series at this point that didn't go undefeated in the regionals. So they lost a game somewhere along the way
Oh,
to get to
maybe
this.
we're in like a losers bracket or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then were
Gotcha.
able to get themselves out of it. So they're the only ones that had that. And then as far as Virginia, they're actually the second best team with the batting average in the country, and the best among the 8 finalist teams that are here with a 336 team batting average.
Damn.
Also their third World Series appearance in the last 4 years. Now they haven't won any of the previous two, so
But they're like on the verge.
yeah, they're always there. So they're knocking on the door. Maybe this year is their year.
I know Tennessee is basically the big juggernaut. They're obviously the favorites. They've had 166 home runs this year, which is the second most ever in any
Yeah.
season. They're heavy favorites coming in, and deservingly so. But a lot of people have another stat that you were talking about. 1948 is a long time ago. The last time that a complete number one overall seed, which is exactly what Tennessee is, actually went on to win the World Series. It's been 24 years now, and
Wow.
if it doesn't happen this year, it will be 25. Last time was the 1999 Miami Hurricanes, when they were the last number one overall seed to actually go and win the entire title. So while the betting odds are with Tennessee, the recent and history odds are kind of necessarily not with that number one overall seed. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see, because a lot of people think that they're going to take it because they're so well rounded,
Mhm.
especially with their pitching, and they can hit for days as well.
Yeah, big time.
The second one that we've got going on over here is, like we were talking about, the Tennessee and Florida State game. That one's at 6 p.m. Going over to the other bracket, Kentucky versus NC State. This is Saturday. This one's at 1 as well, Eastern. Texas A&M, Florida is the night game or evening game, afternoon, depending on where you're at in the country, for this second bracket. This is actually, like you mentioned earlier, the first time that Kentucky is making it. They are a fairly big athletic school, mostly known for basketball, obviously, but they're actually decent at football every once in a while. They peak around in being, maybe the bottom of the top 25 I've seen every so often. So normally a pretty good school. Crazy this is the first time ever, especially for such a, like, a not old school, but like an older school. I
Yeah.
feel like it's a legacy school.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was shocked when they won the regional and they said that this was their first appearance ever. I thought, like, really, in all the years we've been in College World Series, not one time has Kentucky somehow found their way in there. But I mean, again, speaks to the parity of the thing of the sport itself and how it's kind of hard. Well, then again, you look at Florida State and they've been in it the most of any other team, the second most World Series appearances of any school in the history of the sport. So I guess you take some, you win some, lose some here. But yeah, Kentucky with their first appearance ever, which is really cool, and hopefully will be something they can build upon with their program.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, depending on how far they go, they are technically the second ranked team in this bracket, being that obviously they're in the opposite bracket of Tennessee. You got to separate them. So, I mean, they have a little bit on their side. They're not necessarily betting favorites. I know that after Tennessee, I believe, is Texas A&M. I'll go look it up right now as we speak. But they are up there, at least in the rankings. So it should be pretty interesting here. Do you want to kind of break into maybe who we've got and maybe a little bit about why?
Yeah. So as far as you're talking about winning the whole thing, right? You're like asking.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah,
So
sorry.
when I look at it, I'm looking at, like, again, I don't follow the whole season, so I don't know everybody's up and down roster and how good they are, but I'm just looking at some like notes for each school going into this tournament. And for some reason, I think the Virginia thing comes back to me. If they're bad, if they have the second best team batting average in the country, which is over 330, they've been here 3 times now in 4 years. I feel like this is their year if they're going to do it to get over the hump, because a lot of these guys have probably been on the team for multiple years and have been here. So this is probably like the last run for the seniors, one of those things where this is either we're going to get it this time or we're never going to get it, a program situation. So for some reason, I keep going back to Virginia. And again, the bats, I tend to think bats and hitting travels better than pitching does when it gets further into the season, especially postseason. So
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, I'm going Virginia to win the whole thing. I have no real rhyme or reason. That's just my feeling.
Yeah. Side note, none of us really we're not paying attention to the college baseball season as intensely as we are paying attention to most of the other professional sports going on. So not a ton of background, but we do a lot of research whenever we do these topics. We do a lot of reading into it. We look at a lot of odds. We watch a lot of or read a lot of articles, watch videos. We try to get a lot of making sure we're making informed decisions. But
Yeah.
as far as general ideas of what we've been seeing, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. However, I'm not with you on who. Going down towards those betting odds, I do see that the oh, that's baseball here. The whole thing is Tennessee, Texas A&M, and then Kentucky, like we were talking about, is actually
Wow.
third.
Okay.
You've got Virginia was 4, 5, 6. There are plus 1,000. Hey, $100 bet if Virginia's able to pull it off will yield $1,000 for you, man. That's not bad. That's
I'm
not
gonna,
bad.
I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah, okay. However, I'm going with Texas A&M. I'm trying not to be too much of a front runner. Plus, especially with that 1999 stat that I was talking about, as far as the number 1 overall seed in Tennessee. But Texas A&M, I actually wanted to pick them because they are the team that beat Oregon. I was rooting for Oregon as one of the last standing teams to be in, representing at least the West Coast. I know I'm not from Oregon, but at least representing the West Coast in some way. So being that they are the ones that took them out. Now, I know that they are down their best player in Braden Montgomery,
Yeah.
but they're a pretty stacked team. And even without Braden, they still have the highest team ERA in all of the College World Series participants. So I think, like you said, as much as pitching doesn't travel well, they don't necessarily need pitching, but having good pitching is helpful because
Yep.
they have the bats to back it up as well. I'm going Texas A&M, and possibly the injury that happened to Braden, which happened against Oregon, is maybe the emotional reason the team can kind of get over the hump as well and fuel the drive to the final. So
You're going with
running with Texas A&M.
you're going with the Louisville losing the guy to the broken leg in the tournament and then winning the whole thing kind of vibe. Is that that's what you're going
Yes.
for there?
Yeah, dude, that was fucking gruesome,
Yeah, we don't
bro.
need to
That
know
was,
it.
do you
I
remember that?
remember
And we're
all.
going to show that on the screen. Watch, no.
All right, I'm gonna pass out now. Thanks.
Yeah, that is gruesome, bro. I remember that. That was tough. That was
Well,
tough. So, yeah, maybe something like that, I guess.
let's go with this here though. Looking at the bracket, we both picked one team on the opposite side, so it could be Texas A&M versus Virginia in the final. So we
Ooh, down for that.
might have to check back on that, and if that's the case, we might have to make.
Oh, we're definitely doing another series. Yeah, this episode. Yeah, we'll make a bet on it or something for sure. All right, cool. Moving on, we got one last topic to touch on because we don't want to exclude anybody, especially something as insane as this.
big time.
The ladies have finished up their college softball World Series before the men's has started, and they've already crowned their champion as well. And this is now for the 4th straight season.
Yeah.
The Sooners are College World Series champs. Holy crap, 4 straight?
Yeah, and the first time for it to ever happen. So, and not only that, they barely got to the final. I think they were down early in the. I think it was Stanford. They were down big 2, and then battled their way back, tied, forced extra innings, won on a walk off, and then went into the World Series and just beat Texas in 2 games and walked all over them and swept them. And here they are to again the 4 straight titles. And it's not only cool that they've won 4 straight, but you have a senior class, which they have these 5 girls. They're called as the team calls them as the core 5. So you have outfielder Jada Coleman, infielder Tiari Jennings. I hope I said that name right. Catcher Kinsey Hansen, outfielder Riley Boone, and right-handed pitcher Nicole May. So the nucleus of them, they won 3 Big 12 tournament titles, which obviously has many national championships, 4 as tournament losses in that 4-year span. So a really good team, a really good program. Not just this group of 5 that we talked about, but their coach, Patty Gasso, has been there since 1995, and this is their 8th national title in that time frame. So pretty good program she's got going over there.
And what better way to clinch something that's never happened, especially for these outgoing seniors, than to beat a heavy favorite rival in Texas for your 4th straight championship?
Yeah.
Horns down, baby, all day. Horns down all day.
For that, someone's gonna get mad.
Yeah, whatever. Screw them.
But
Go Sooners.
Not only Gasso, again, winning the 8 titles since 1995 when she took over, but in the time she's been there, her career record as a coach is 1,515 wins, 352 losses,
300
ties, which is a winning percentage over 810. So pretty good program she's got going over there. And I think if I remember correctly, her assistant coach left to go coach Oregon a couple years ago, and she's kind of turned Oregon softball into a pretty heavy school as far as on the West Coast and in the Pac-12, which no longer exists, obviously. But whatever program or conference they're going to be a part of next. So not only is Oklahoma good because of her, she's obviously had her coaching tree go out and help build Oregon into a bigger program, which in all helps the entire softball sport in itself growing and getting bigger and better. And obviously with dynasties, like you always say, dynasties and history are always what we're about. So to see Oklahoma do this was actually really cool. And again, to sweep on top of it against a rival, like you mentioned, definitely makes it a little bit better.
Horns down. Last time. Okay. Last time. Yeah, but that's pretty much, I think that's freaking awesome. So we definitely had to shout them out. Shout out, congrats, champions. 4-time back to back College World Series champions of softball. Congratulations, Sooner ladies. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the College World Series episode here. Please let us know down in the comments who you've got. First of all, congratulate the ladies of Oklahoma down below. Second of all, let us know in the comments who you've got winning the Men's College World Series coming up this upcoming weekend. Please kind of let us know. We want to talk to you. We want to let us, kind of get an actual conversation going back and forth. We will reply in the comments. If you check any of the other previous videos, you'll see that we do reply. So let us know down below in the comments. But appreciate everybody joining. Thank you as always for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore 4th Studios production.